Hi everyone, in this video we will go through further training with the Playwright to prepare for a possible interview. But to do that, we will continue from what we've been doing last time. So check out the other video regarding the Playwright interview simulation, because we will move from there and continue with more practice. By the way, I'm Roberto Coscia. I'm a principal quality assurance engineer in a startup. I've been working for 6+ years on different companies, such as Paramount, TikTok, and many other big companies. So let's start. To recap a little bit from what we did last time, we've been doing some testing, setting up at Playwright from scratch, but from a web application already built. To do that, we used this web application built in Angular, and we've been doing some testing of this application. So let's do some recap for who didn't watch the last video quite very quick. So in the file, first of all, we clone this repository and we create the folder in our desktop. We did cd to that folder, and we set up the Angular application so that it could work and we could run it in the front end. That's what we did. So as you can see here, I set up the application here, and we created a folder in a separate folder to do the practice of Playwright. So let's write step by step. So first thing, cloned the Angular web application into the PW practice app folder. So once we did that, we need to run this application, right? So we need to set up, we need to make sure we can install the packages that will allow us to run the application. And for to do that, you need to use Node. So you must have Node installed to your PC if you use Node. And as a consequence, we can use the npm packages to install. So what we'll do is npm install, and to see if the application actually works. Let's do that actually. Cd, we go back. Now we cd into the front end, pw practice. I misspelled something. So pw practice is because I'm not in the correct folder. So what we can do is to copy the path and cd into that. Now I'm into the folder. We can check node dash version to see if we have installed node dash version. And we see that I have a node installed. Then we can do the same with the npm. If you didn't, make sure to install it for your Windows or your Linux, your Mac PC. npm dash node not dash version, and we can see that we have also npm. And then you do the command npm install. So in the other video, we saw that once we completed npm install, we had a node module displaying here. We had some problem when running the application, and to overcome those, I made sure that to also add the command legacy peer deps. This allows to install the packages, but making sure that the dependencies of this application, they work. Because if you don't, they will not probably work. We already did this, we're doing it again, but just to explain. So in the meantime, I'm gonna write npm, so no download. Well, I will assume that you already did it. npm install dash legacy. Then you might have to install Angular. So if you don't have Angular, basically you can check here what are the dependencies. To install Angular, you need to go to the documentation of Angular and install and check how to install the Angular. So what we did is also to install and to do an npm install -g Angular click. This allow to install Angular, and so that you can then run the application, and you can run the commands like the G commands of Angular. So I did that. You can copy this. You might have to use, if it doesn't work, make sure to add also here leg dash legacy dash peer dash deps. So you do that, which we already did. So we're not gonna do it. Well, let's do it anyway. So that if you get an error, we go through it again. As you can see, the previous package was installed, the node modules. Generally, what you would do is the opposite. You would install first Angular, and then you would, with the commands that you saw, And then you would do an npm install again, making sure that legacy peer depths is actually installing the correct packages that you see here in the package.json, so that the application works. Because if you don't, you might get error due by the mismatch of installations. So we did that. Now in Angular, you can run the command ngserve. So this will run the front end. Depending on your machine, it might take some time, or it might be faster. It run, and now we can right click to open the application. And as you can see, now we managed to get the front end running. So now we can work on our Playwright file. So going back to the reading file, what we did is to run this command, then to run the command to install Angular, and then to run the command ngserve. And finally, you can cd into another folder that you can create, which I create manually, Playwright, cd, you can call it whatever you want, cd into, in this case, Playwright, because that's what I created. And then you need to do the same thing. You need to go to the documentation of Playwright. You need to go to the installation and you search the command. If you run this command, it will install all the packages you need for Playwright, which I already did. So you run this command, and what will happen, it will install everything that you see here. And that's it. Then you're ready to run. What I did after this is to run an npm install inside the new folder. What I did, I leave this command line, this terminal open, and I open a new one. This is basically the one that I will dedicate to the Playwright test. So I CLS to just clean it up. And now check the other video to see what we've done. Basically, we started some testing. Inside the test, we created the file called test1, where at the beginning we started creating the normal command of Playwright. So choosing the selectors, etc. Then we created also a page object model to simplify the test and to run it in better with with the best practice. To do that, we created a folder called common POM and then a file called test page. Here we import the page object, the expect and the locator one, and we created a class where we import the page object as a page, and the locator we call them from the object locator. And then inside the constructor, we instantiate these locators and we to associate them. And this will allow us to use these variables inside the functions. We created the function to enter inside the web application. So the page that go to is actually it allows you to enter the page. Then the select theme was basically inside the application. We wanted to select the theme to dark, let's say. That's what we did here. We click to the drop down button that is basically the select button. To do that, we check inspect element. We select the parent element which has a class that we can be interested on. The select button, in this case, we click to the entire class. So this is click, and then we click to the dark element. As you can see here, we get by text. In page, you can use different locators, and we selected get by text. There are different locators, such as this dot page. If you click on dot, and if you have the Playwright extension installed, you can see automatically after the dot what you can advise. You can see that we have different get attributes, get by alt text, etc. Different. The most used are get by role, get by label, get by placeholder, get by text, get by title. But you can also use the locator to right away access the ID, the classes, the expat, etc. For the rest, I will not go through again. You can check the other video. Let me know how you find, if it was all clear. Otherwise, let me know in the comment. And let's continue. So we created the page object model. What we'll do now is to continue what we did. So let's check what we did last time is to click to this element and make the graphic dark. Then we clicked here, we went to the form, and we selected this placeholder. We clicked remind me, and we clicked on submit. That's what we did. But we can do the same thing, selecting the email, password, selecting radio option, basic forms, block forms. There are different type of forms, and let's say that we want to now insert email, password, and radio option. What we will do is the same thing we did. So we will go to the page object model, and we will create an async field form to email and password. So the parameter will be email, which is a string, and password, which is also a string. And we get here, we will check now what are the selectors. To do that, you go to the application, you inspect, see how you prefer the inspection. You can put also on the bottom. We will put in the bottom right now. And we click this locator, and you select the content you're interested on checking. So we can see that this has a placeholder of email. We can also see if you double click and the Ctrl+F, you can see if there are more than one placeholder in the page, because we want to avoid, obviously, as in this case, we have 5 placeholder. So if you check by the placeholder, you might get an error. To avoid and understand which element is this, is you can click here, and until you understand which number that placeholder is. We can see that it is the last element. So this hints us that we can use the placeholder, the last placeholder. So we go back to the project, and you can write await, because it's an asynchronous operation, await, but this dot page, let's write it cleaner. Well, let's start the way we would write first. So this dot page dot get by placeholder, as we saw. The placeholder was the email. It was called email with capital E. So as you might notice watching other videos, is that sometimes when there is some keywords that I select that which stop the video. That's what happened again. So basically, I created the content of this. I created the email password at the bottom. As we did for the other component, we instantiate the variables, and we search, we inspect the application to check what they are made of. And we can see that here the email nth1 means there was the second locator. Sometimes locators can be equal, so you have to select nth or the first or last element with the method in Playwright. And we fill with the email and password. This will allow to get this element, and in our test, we can call the test page dot fill form 2 with the email, which is, let's see, where it is. The email we selected, the email is the same like this, and the password is PSB. Now we save, we go to the test, and we can check our test file, test1, and we run it. And we see if it all works. It is running, you see it's performing all the actions. And it performed all well. You see, it clicked. Seems maybe the radio button is having a problem. Let's see. We'll check. We'll inspect the error. So there was an error. The way you inspect the error is to check where the issue is. Here there is a problem with the click, and the error, we can see that it was called the class outer circle, but actually because I was clicking probably to the input, was clicking to some other class, but actually the class is instead inner circle. The span is the one we want to click. So to fix, we will substitute this with this, and we will run the test again, and it failed again, probably because I need to add the dot. Let's try again, and it passed. Yes, it was, I need to add the dot before when you want to insert a class. So what next? Let's check now the date picker, because here you need to click, then basically you need to click, then you need to select an element, and maybe you want to assert that this element as this text. Let's see the difference of these date pickers. They look, we have the common date picker with range, and we have the max picker. we disable min max. Let's use this one that sounds to me a bit more elaborated, let's say, but it is really not. So what we will do ahead is to inspect this element. We can see that we have a class, we have a placeholder. So when we have a class and a placeholder, we need to prefer the placeholder because you see that the class is actually a library. CSS can change in the code, so it's better to use a more stable element. In this case, we have the placeholder. You need always to check if there are more than one. And you can see that there is only one range picker. So we will be safe just to choose the range picker. Let's go back. Let's code read only. And we call this range picker as a locator. Then we instantiate this dot range picker, which is equal to page. And the placeholder is called range picker. We don't have other one. We will be fine just not to select first now. But if in future they will add the other placeholder, probably you would go ahead to put the first, or maybe not. This you might have to change over time if they add more range picker in the same page. So now we can do the following. First of all, we need to change the view. Navigate, we can call async, navigate to the picker. And the next, we want to fill date picker, fill range date picker. You can even add the date, the range 1, which is a number, and range 2, which is also a number. And now we can call that this dot range picker dot click. This will click the range picker. Then we want to select probably the date, but okay, we do that then. So if you click this, then we will select inspect the element to see what you are getting. You can get the element by class, but also by text. So here is interesting because there are more than 5. 2025, the number 5 is here. So here you may find in a tricky situation where either if you select the cell content, you have 2 times the number 5. So what you can do is or to select one and then do nth and check which one is if it's the first element, the second, or you can set anyway the exact number. So what we will do is we will get by text and exact. This is one, can be one of the options. So we go back to the code and we create always, well, probably in this case, we will do it right away here because we have a range 1 and range 2. So page.get by text. The text is range 1, comma, exact is equal to true. We cannot get the text this way because we are selecting, this is a number. Well, we don't need really, we can put it as a string because we don't need really number. Now it will work. Range 1, exact true. This will check only the number 5, not 2000. If it's 2025, if it's part of another letter, will not search. So number 5, we have 2. We can search by the 5, and we have 115 times number 5. But the exact number 5, I think we can see we have 2 times. So we can also do this. You can click this. You can click here, write 5. We have 7 times number 5, but we have a 25, 25, 5, 15, 25, 5. So the exact string of 5 is only twice. So let's go to the code and get by text that first. So because we are selecting number 5, not the number, the second 5, which is anyway disabled first. And we'll see with the test if, and we do the same with the second. We copy paste range 2. The range 2, we will select it. We can see in the code. This seems like done. And now in the navigate to that speaker, so before to get to this stage, we were in the form layout, I believe. We were here. So what we needed to do, I don't know if this was open. We can check form layout. Yes, it was I think it was open to get here. So this will be open. So what we need to do when we navigate to date picker is to get by text date picker, simply, because I don't think there are more than one. Date picker, there's only one, so we're good. We go to our test, we do the same thing here, read only, and we call this date picker menu. Now, this dot date picker is equal to page.get by text. The text is date picker. I think was called exact date picker. It should be written exactly the way it is written, date picker. And you don't need to put it first because we don't have another one. Now we get this, and this may be called click to date picker menu. And here we have this dot because it's inside the class. Date picker dot click will navigate to this element. So now, if we want to go back to our test, we want to first change view. Test page is an instantiation of the page object model because if you watch the other video, you would have seen it. But by the way, to use the page object model here, you need to import the object, the class name, basically, from the page object model, from the correct address, correct path, and then instead we instantiated a variable that instantiated a new object, basically. So we can use test page to basically run the playwright command. So that first we click to the picker menu, and second we wait test page, and it will advise what we have available. Let's double check and remember. Fill date picker. We need to put two parameters, just two numbers. What I need to fill is, what I want to fill is from 5 to the 15. We search for the exact one. The 5, the exact, should be the first. Let's see if we, yes, and the same, the first. Even if there are more, the 15 there are no more than one. The first, it will still select only the unique element. So here probably we won't need it. Let's run the test, and let's see. It's failing, and now we need to see for which reason. To run the test, you can click show browser here, and then run again. Let's see the error. In practice, it didn't click. We can see the problem was with the click. Why? Date picker menu, page.get by text, date picker. Date picker, let's see. It couldn't find date picker. Let's double check why. We can see here the error that is exactly in the date picker the way it is. Let's inspect the element to check more what could have been gone wrong. Is a link. See if I misspelled. Copy and paste whatever I see here. I should be the same. If not, because if is the reason is because it's an A. Let's take it in a different way. Well, let's use get, and the role is a span, and the name is that picker. That cannot be used, as you can see, because they accepted only this element. Here we can get by title. Get by title. So get, I don't know why I didn't notice, get by title will be date picker, and that's it. This will work. I run the test and it's failing. Wonder if should use the single quote. Let's run it. So basically, when you take a tag element, basically the advisable way is to use get by role link and then the name that is the date picker, which we checked, that is exactly the text we want to click. Now it should work. That is not okay. So what we can do here is that we can wait for this element, this dot. We can get the element date picker that wait for visibility true. Solve the problem. We can wait for the element to be visible and then click, and we can add a force true, which is not advisable. We can see if that solved the problem. No, it didn't. It couldn't wait for the date picker, so just tell me that I cannot find it. I understood the issue. The issue was simply that I didn't make it this an asynchronous call, and I don't need probably to use the force. Let's run it again. It failed, but not in a different place, which is a good place. And the same thing is here. I should always have make asynchronous calls. Wait, and let's run it again. Hopefully now all works. By the way, if you're enjoying this tutorial, this preparation, you see it went well, consider to subscribe the channel to have more content like this. And this channel is about AI mainly, but also applied to automation testing. And we try to make, let me know if you want more video about AI related to automation testing. I can make. By the way, it all works, and basically it does click everything. We can even check one last time npx playwright test spec, and we can run that test added mode to run in the browser. It doesn't need a spec, so it cannot find the test. The reason is probably because we need to cd into the folder. So let's remove everything. Cd. Now we run without the need of the playwright. What's happening? It was fast. It's running 2 times. Let's run it again. It ran 2 times. Definitely something to check, probably due by this is the test result. One failed because it didn't run. I believe it's something you need to check on the config file. The reason fully parallel, because it's parallel, you should put this to false, and it should all run only once. That's it from today, and remember to subscribe, like, comment the video, and see you in the next one.